I'll be the first. My name's Jane. I am the founder of Mama Dolce, so we are luxury free from ice cream. So my question's obviously quite frozen specific. When would be the best time to reach out to buyers in various retail stores in relation to ice cream? Obviously, we've got sort of the bulk of cold weather coming up, but we've got the January, obviously summer months. So when would you advise?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like any time, there's probably going to be there's a buyer for ice cream, so that is all they worry about anyway. But I think especially, like you say, I think if you're kind of dairy-free alternatives, like January is super important for all of that stuff. It's like whether it's veganuary, whether people are being healthier. So I think, before that timing is great. And then obviously you want to be in the lead up to the summer. So I'd probably say if you wanted your product listed in January, actually you could be starting that conversation over the summer. If you're kind of thinking next summer, you could start that conversation now. So I think there is no particularly right time, but those kind of timelines obviously work well. And I think, just I guess as well, just like, again, get them some samples, send them some stuff and give them a try. Someone like Ocado, just thinking about that kind of thing, is a bit more, because they're online, they're a bit more flexible in their own timings. So actually, if you wanted to something to try and get it in for 2021 still, that might still be possible. So they're definitely one to reach out to, and they're awesome as well for kind of if you're premium or like more alternatives and stuff like that. They're a really great market from that point of view.
Amazing, thank you so much. And if I may be cheeky and ask one more question, in terms of margins, I know you sort of touched on that briefly. Are, I guess, retailers cognizant of the fact that small businesses can't really take advantage of huge discounts in terms of like their raw ingredients, so margins may sort of slightly shift in terms of what you are able to sell to the wholesaler at, and then what the wholesaler is able to sell to the retail at?
Yeah, so I think, in general, small businesses like they understand the dynamics that everyone's working with, and they'll be more flexible. They'll put less price pressure on you than they would do to like Pepsi. So they will do that. So I think, I guess part of that is just when they tell you what they want, you can just tell them like, actually, that's totally impossible for me. And a lot of that as well comes back into the like element of that of if you're selling a more premium product, and probably if you're like more of a sort of health alternative, you would be selling more premium. They will expect to make more margin, but you will also sell more expensive. So it's sort of easier for that margin to be made between the two of you. It's hard to, just in terms of margins in general, I guess I didn't say anything specific because margin expectations vary massively across different categories, especially if you're in something like super fresh, like you're selling meat or something like that. But in general, if you're selling like a branded product, if it was a really mainstream product, again, to go back to my like Stella beer example, they're probably looking to make like somewhere around 10% margin. If you're selling something more premium, and that's probably applies to most of what you guys are doing, you're probably looking somewhere more like between 25 to 35%, and probably more towards the 35% scale. So you can do some really initial maths just to see if that's even affordable for you from the start.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Jess, it seems like you got a question from Sayo here. So do you need a couple years worth of financial accounts before you can approach a buyer? How else would you be able to prove how viable your product is if you don't have the financial numbers to prove this?
So I guess in general, they won't ask you for that much. And part of the reason for that is because ultimately, if they take it, they're the ones paying you. And if you don't send them anything, then they don't have to pay you anything. I guess they don't need to see a huge amount of financial records from you. I think it's more just around all those really basic things to show that you're a registered company. You have kind of all the right accreditations if you need to, like if you're selling beer, you need basically a code that makes it permissible for you to sell an alcohol product, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, in my history, I haven't really been asked for any background information about an awful lot of that stuff. I think if they did, it would probably be very top line. So I would feel quite comfortable about starting that conversation and, focus on something relatively top line. And if you've got a few years trading history, then they'll know you're around, and that's totally probably fine.